So guys, I am back home from New Zealand. It felt like a really long time, but then it also felt like it went really quickly as well. So really happy to see my house back in Johannesburg. Thought I'd just give you, just walk you to my studio, which actually is pretty tidy, probably because I haven't been here for so long. But I'm sure it will get back to its usual mess very, very shortly. So here are a few of the cards that I collected along the way at the symposium. It's awesome. Everyone has their own little cards with their sketches and stuff on. A lot of them have their sketches on the backside. But I just wanted to put them name side up just so you could see some of the wonderful people that I met at the symposium. This was the main sketchbook that I used throughout my trip to New Zealand. It is an accordion sketchbook by ETCHR. If you saw my last video, you would have seen me prepare the first page, just a bit of a map to show where I was going to visit along my way. So yeah, in this video, I just want to have a flip through this sketchbook with you and show you what I got up to. So here you can see it's folded out, and I did my best to sketch on every available space and try and merge some of the sketches together as well, just to utilize this unique format. And it's also got the whole backside complete as well, so I will show you that fully just now in this video. Cool, so as you can see, I've got some stickers on the front. This is from Eric, who was actually one of the main organisers and from USK Auckland of this particular event. I think he's also the events director of Urban Sketchers and Urban Sketchers Hong Kong. They were giving out lots of goodies. I do actually have a wristband from them, but I haven't got it on right now. I have been wearing it a lot though. And then some of these are just like stickers from the holiday parks that I stayed at, just because, I don't know, I had to stick it on the front of the car, so I thought I might as well add it to my sketchbook. And some other beautiful stickers. And then this was from the Steampunk Museum that I went to in Oamaru, which was pretty cool. So yeah, as I said, this is an ETCHR sketchbook, 100% cotton paper. I think I mentioned the weight in my last video. I think it's 230 GSM, but I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Very nice paper to work on. I didn't like it at first, but I think that's just because it took me a bit of getting used to. And then I absolutely loved it, so that was cool. You guys saw me prepare this first page pretty much. Did a great job of like smudging stuff and just already starting on a not very neat note. Unfortunately, I'm just not one of those perfect neat people, so I've made my peace with it. And I stuck in my boarding passes here because I thought that was kind of cool to remember the trip by. It was really, yeah, it was a long trip, and I guess like I was kind of a bit anxious and didn't know what the journey was going to hold in store. So I found it very hard to like sit down in the airport and actually get sketching. On reflection, I'm glad I didn't actually, because I wouldn't have had enough space in this sketchbook if I'd done too much in this particular one. I did take another sketchbook with me just for like other miscellaneous sketches, so I'll show you that one very quickly too. There's not too much in it, but I did eventually manage to just like settle down a bit and just draw this. The plane lights, the cabin lights were very low, so I didn't feel like doing any colour, but yeah, it was still fun to be able to do something on the plane. And then I landed at about 1 or 2 a.m. I walked to a hotel that wasn't too far away, and I finally got into bed about 3 a.m. And then I didn't set any kind of alarm. I thought, let me just sleep. And that was a mistake because I didn't wake up until 3 p.m. the following day. Luckily, I booked myself 2 nights there because I knew I'd need some sleep because I was traveling for over 48 hours, or I was awake for like 48 hours basically without sleeping. I think the journey was about 32 hours all in. So it was raining as well, but I managed to get an Uber out to Auckland. The Uber driver gave me an umbrella, bless him. And yeah, I wandered around in the rain for a couple of hours. And then I was like, what does anyone do when they in a new city and it's raining? Go to the pub, basically. So I went to the Shakespeare, which was awesome because it's New Zealand's oldest microbrewery. And it was a really awesome start to the trip because the guy behind the bar was really excited about this. He studied fine art and he was like, do you think I could do this? And I was like, absolutely you can. So I gave him my card and I was like, just check out some YouTube videos and stuff. You'll soon see that my whole premise is that anyone can draw like this, anyone can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I never studied art, I don't have an art background. Like, just decided one day I really want to do this, you know. I couldn't do this straight away. It takes some time, and I even look at this now and I'm like, I want to be better, you know, but it's a journey, you know, and there's no end to it. It's just always learning, you know. Anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not going to bang on too much. On the Friday, it was Good Friday. I picked up my camper van. I was trying to leave the city, and my God, I got stuck in traffic jams all day. Basically lost a day to sitting in the car. So this was basically all I saw on Friday was the inside of my Toyota Estima. And then I was just so jet lagged and so tired, and all I could do was just focus on like sleeping somewhere. So that's what I did. And then in the morning I was like, God, I don't have much time. So I actually just drew this building, which is the Rotorua Visitor Centre. I thought it was really cool. And then I sort of was like, oh, let me just go and check out the Governor's Gardens. And I was like, oh my God, I can't leave Rotorua without trying to draw this building. So this was the other sketchbook I took with me, which is a Stilton and Burn Alpha. I don't want to show the back cover too much because there's a swear word on there, sorry. It's a sticker someone gave me. But yeah, I saw this building, which is the museum in the Government Gardens, which is closed at the moment. I think temporarily, I'm not sure. But I saw it and I was like, oh my God, I need to sketch that. I had 45 minutes, guys. I actually put an alarm on my phone because I was like, I need to leave Rotorua by a certain time if I'm going to get to my next location. As you can tell, my schedule was insane. And if I was doing it all over again, I'd probably do something different, but that's fine. So yeah, 45 minutes. Super, super, super loose, I'm sure, as you can tell. But like, it was really fun. Really, really fun. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that sketch. And this reminds me that loose is good. Loose works. Loose can work. So let's put that one there for a minute. So then I actually decided I really don't have time to come. I didn't stop in Taupo in the end. I just went to some waterfalls, some beautiful waterfalls. And then I didn't have time to come over here and do stuff. I just had to go straight down to Wellington. I had a ferry booked for a certain day, a certain time. I wanted to spend some time in Wellington because I knew there was beautiful buildings there. So I was like, I can't do it. I've just got to think on my feet here. So I spent the day, or a lot of the day, in Wellington, and I knew this building was there and I really wanted to sketch it, but I didn't. I sketched that right at the end of the day, and again, I ran out of time. I only had a certain amount of time. The sun was going down. But what I did instead, or before that, because I got distracted, was this sketch. So I found Parliament House and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, their tours were fully booked, so I couldn't go on the tour, but I sat in the gardens and I was like, this is just amazing. So I actually sat here for probably about like 2 hours maybe, and I really focused on this area because I thought it was beautiful, these shadows across. And then I was getting hungrier and hungrier and hungrier, and I was fading. And then I was like, do you know what? I don't need to draw all of this. I'm just going to indicate it. And I actually think it's a really cool effect. I mean, we can see those buildings are there, the old Parliament House and like the newish one, I think, the Beehive. So I actually think it's a really interesting effect. Lots of detail here, indications here, but it tells the story of the whole scene. So yeah, I was very happy with that one. So that took so long. And then I needed to find somewhere to go for some lunch / beer. Sorry, Wellington is craft beer capital of New Zealand, so I had to indulge. And then I got so busy with like booking a few bits ahead, like my trip to Milford Sound, etc., etc. It was then like really late afternoon. I was like, oh my God, I really want to draw this building. So I ran over there and just tried to be quick and loose-ish again. And I just got as far as I got before the sun went down. I got really tired and I was like, that's all I can do, and that's fine. Not every sketch has to be finished. Not every sketch has to be perfect. It's all good. So throughout the book, I'm kind of sticking in a little bits and bobs. So I was on the ferry from Wellington to Picton. It was like early morning, and I couldn't get a table by the window, unfortunately. I kept trying, but then people would beat me to it. So I just did this little sketch out the window, which I thought was really cool. And then I was like, why don't I just draw some people? People are really sleepy and bored and whatnot, looking at their devices, even though there's just like this amazing scenery. So I was like, oh, I'm going to sketch these two, which was cool, very interesting. Then I stuck a little bit of my boarding pass in there. And then I was like, I'm going to go up to the top deck. It wasn't too cold or rainy. And I started this one just from, they had some benches, picnic benches up there at the back of the boat. And then it did start raining, so I don't know if you can see that texture there. And I was doing it, and then a guy came over to chat to me. In fact, actually, when I was doing these ones, a lady from the US, from Kentucky, came to chat to me, and she was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I started to show her my book and explained everything. And she was just so interested, and it was really cool. And then another big burly New Zealander came to chat to me, and also very, very interested. And then he brought his 9-year-old daughter over to have a look. So that was really cute. Yeah, so the ferry crossing over to the South Island was amazing. And then I had to find somewhere to, I drove for another few hours, and I was like, right, let me stop for the day. I really wanted a shower because I slept in a car park in Wellington. So I really wanted to stay at like a camp where there was a shower I could use. And I was parked right on the beach, and I had this view, and it was just magical. So that was cool. Then I drove through Arthur's Pass. So I drove from the east coast of the South Island over to the west coast of South Island through Arthur's Pass. Amazing, brutal weather. Got to Hokitika. The weather was just absolutely disgusting. Went to the Kiwi Centre and stuff like that. So I got to see some kiwis and some eels and stuff, which was cool. But so I just did this from the car, and I just did it pretty quickly, like half an hour maybe, tops. And you can see where I've got impatient and my paint's bled, but that's fine. And it was just a cool little clock tower. And that's all I could sketch in Hokitika, but you know, that is what it is. And I started making my way down the west coast through the Southern Alps, stopped at the Franz Josef Glacier. Again, it was very cold and kind of raining, so I did this from the car. Here's the glacier here. There was this little hut and like some foliage, just a little reminder, you know. To most people, they'll be like, they wouldn't know necessarily that's a glacier there, but that's fine. It's my illustrated travel sketchbook, and I know what that is. I got lost looking for that Wanaka tree. Yes, this tree has its own hashtag. And I ended up by this amazing, it's still Lake Wanaka, but I ended up by accident in this right next to the lake, and I was all by myself. It was reasonably early in the morning, and it was just sublime, the landscape and the scenery. So I had to stop and do a sketch there, and I actually decided to film it for my patrons as well. But it was just a beautiful, beautiful, quiet moment. I'd been racing around, and it was just really nice to stop and be in nature and paint it for like an hour. Then I headed over to that Wanaka tree, the famous tree, the most photographed tree in New Zealand, and did my best to just perch on a log there and just do a very quick sketch there. Again, more capturing the moment and the memory rather than worrying whether it's a perfect sketch or not. Then I carried on driving because I had to get down to close to Milford Sound. And luckily I'd booked ahead to this camp because they were small and they were the last one kind of before Milford Sound and the lodge there and stuff. So they were fully booked, and people kept turning up and asking if they had space, and they kept saying no. So I'm super glad that I booked ahead for this one. But yeah, I was just waiting for the laundry to be done. And I wanted to practice trying to get the effect of clouds in between the mountains here, or like hovering low. So I was like, let me do just a little sketch and let me just see if I can do it rather than committing to a bigger sketch and then messing it up kind of thing. So that was quite fun. And then in the morning, I drove another hour or so to Milford Sound, sketched the boat. I didn't actually get on this boat. It was a boat next to it, but this one was more sketchable, so that's fine. It was still the same company. On the actual boat cruise through looking at the fjords and stuff, so yeah, did this while I was on the boat, which was really, really cool. And I was just doing this with a water brush, you know, the brushes with the water in the handle. I don't have one to hand right this second, but yeah, just the plastic brushes with the water in the handle. So I didn't have to get out of like a pot of water or anything like that. And because this is 100% cotton paper, that brush actually works very, very nicely. So that is definitely something I'll keep in mind for future, that I don't generally get on with the water brushes all that well, but on 100% cotton paper, it works really well. Then this is just insane. If you actually looked on a map of what I did, you guys would be horrified probably. After Milford Sound, I ran back to the car, literally ran back to the car and drove 5 hours over to Dunedin, and then was absolutely shattered, slept in another car park, and then woke up early in the morning. And I love Dunedin. I think it was one of my favourite little cities I went to. This is the train station. It is amazing. I was just absolutely blown away. In fact, I was sleeping right behind it in the train car park. Absolutely stunning. So I was like, geez, this is going to be an epic. So I did set my alarm, I think, for 2 hours. And then I just kept adding a bit of time after that. Where it got to the point where I was like, if I don't leave now, I'm not going to get to draw anything else in Dunedin, and I'm not going to get to my next destination. So I felt like I was on a game show, like Amazing Race or something. I just had to race from one place to another. Not the correct way to do this, but anyway. So this isn't quite complete or where I'd want it to be, and I might even do a video on what I would do to improve this sketch. If anyone's interested, let me know in the comments. You know, it was a solid try. And I quite like this white space where they were renovating this building, and the whole rest of it. I mean, it goes on for ages, like this way. It had like scaffolding and stuff. So I think that was quite interesting. And I quite like this lamppost and then this one really close here. But the depth's not there yet. So let me know if you'd like me to show you what I do to kind of rescue or improve that sketch. I think I had an hour left on my car parking ticket. I walked to find something else to sketch, found this place, sat down, was like, right, I've got 45 minutes. I actually banged this out in more like 25 minutes, to be honest, which I'm sure you can probably tell, but it's still fine. It's still cool, you know? Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. So then, yeah, hit the car again and got on the road and got to Oamaru, which wasn't too far from Dunedin, actually, and it was amazing. It's lots of Victorian buildings, the home of the Steampunk Museum, which is that sticker there that I have. Just an insane little town. They've got a blue penguin colony. It is just the best. I could go and stay there for a week, I think. So yeah, sketched this building. Wasn't too happy with it. The colours all messed up, but the drawing itself was quite fun. And then that was that for the day. I was just tired. It's just incredibly tiring being constantly on the move, driving so many hours at a time, then trying to find something to sketch and then sketching it. And it's just like, it's exhausting. So again, I did what any self-respecting British sketcher would do. found the pub. Anyway, the following day I got up early and I knew I wanted to sketch this building. In the time I was sketching it, they opened these doors and I could see that you could walk straight through the building and out the other side. And I was like, what is this place? I don't even know what this is. And yeah, so I finished the sketch, walked through the door, and then you just go straight out to the other side of the street, or the other street behind it, which I actually hadn't walked down. And that was the proper Victorian precinct. And they've got all sorts of like collections of penny farthings and like old circus memorabilia and steampunky stuff and Victoriana stuff. It was just incredible. Lots of shops and stalls and that town, honestly, just amazing. Anyway, so I had a walk around, went, and I'd seen this building as well, that was more down the high street, actually, not even in the Victorian precinct. And I was like, I knew I wanted to sketch that one as well. Just all these old buildings with old, like, writing on them and stuff, you know? Honestly, guys, I really just want to go back to New Zealand and spend a week there. So anyway, so eventually moved on. And then I guess, yeah, my next stop was Lake Tekapo, which was another few hours. And it's like more, I was going from the East Coast back inland again and like more north. I got there and just kind of relaxed a bit and like went and checked out, like had a walk around the lake, or not around the lake, but along some of the lake because it's absolutely massive. And the following morning, I did a video filming this one for my patrons of the Church of the Good Shepherd, which is just absolutely beautiful. This sketch just doesn't do it justice at all. And then I just pivoted around from where I was sitting and changed my view 180 degrees and sketched the Dark Sky Project, which is this building here. Lake Tekapo is a gold standard dark sky reserve, so you can see some incredible stars and planets, and then just the night sky is absolutely incredible there. So if you're into stargazing, that is like the place to go. Then I carried on to my final stop on the South Island, which was Christchurch. And again, I walked around Christchurch and found myself in the pub. I did get a recommendation to go here because they have like the largest menu of craft beer in a pub that I've ever seen in my entire life. So the pub is called Pomeroy's. I was drinking the McLeod's Whale Bay Pale Ale. Sat at this table facing at the bar. The lights were very low and it was a very golden atmosphere in here. So hence the when I looked at the sketch in the daylight, I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty much all the same colour, but it's all the colour of beer, basically. But I think it does indicate the kind of warm, pubby atmosphere that was going on. So I was actually really happy with the sketch. I thought it was really fun. And then so that was in the evening. The following day, I started sketching around Christchurch. So I really wanted to see the transitional cathedral, otherwise known as the cardboard cathedral. It was quite amazing going inside and seeing the cardboard struts in the roof. I knew I wanted to have a go at sketching a bit of the craziness that is the cathedral in the city centre that is being reconstructed. Big project, not expected to be finished until like 2028, something like that. And then I was just getting so tired, guys. I was really running out of steam. I'd bought a hop-on, hop-off ticket for the tram. So I'd done a full loop of Christchurch. Here's the loop here. Listening to the commentary by the driver. They're very interesting, and all the trams are different and all the drivers tell you different things, which is really cool. So I got to a point where I was just like, I just don't know if I can do anymore, which was crazy because I had the whole day. It was the first time I had an entire day somewhere. So I was like, I'm just going to play a game where I get off the tram, I sketch something until the next tram comes. So this is what happened. This was the Arts Centre and the Clock Tower. And it was basically a 10-minute sketch, but that was fine. It was my tram ticket. I did this one. This was the only one I did from a photo just because I just did want to include the tram. So after that, I went to a little hostel by the airport, and then I dropped off the camper van, Mighty Mouse, he was called, and then I flew to Auckland. So this is the view from my hotel room in Auckland over the park. It was beautiful. It was a really, really nice room, really nice view. And I was into the symposium. So I'm going to do a separate video about the symposium, otherwise this one will go on forever. But I'll just show you my sketches anyway. The first thing I did was a workshop with Virginia Hine, who's awesome. So we were looking at like different prompts and just using lots of black and creating focus and that kind of thing. So this was my final sketch for her workshop. It was just really fun, and Virginia is just such a wonderful human being. So I was just really happy to meet her and be in her presence for 3 hours. She's just a great teacher, and it was brilliant. So, and then after her workshop, I rushed back to listen to the lectures and presentations, or the sketch chats. So this was Mario Linares talking about the brief history of reportage illustration, which is something I'm really fascinated by. So I was like, let me try and sketch some people. I don't think it's too bad. It's definitely a memory of the time. Then this was the first sketch call, but this ran on so late quite late, and then I had to walk to where this location was. I didn't quite get into it, and I didn't quite do perhaps what I wanted to, but it was really beautiful. There was a young lady singing her own songs and playing acoustic guitar, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So I was really happy about that. And then the following day I went to Rob Sketcherman's class, so I don't actually have any sketches from that in the sketchbook, obviously, because it was on iPad. Before that, actually, I went for Drink and Draw, and I didn't know anyone. Obviously, I'd met a few people, but I inserted myself with this lovely group of people, and most of which were from Melbourne Urban Sketchers. This is Helen Wilding here. Just wonderful people. I was quite happy with these sketches. Again, not really very good at people so much yet, not to a point where I'm kind of confident at. But doing that 1 week, 100 people challenge really helped me, even though I only got to 50. I did a video on it, so check it out. Even though I only got to 50 people, it taught me so much, and it gave me the confidence to be able to do these sketches, to even be able to have a go at these sketches, which I would not have done if before that, and also these sketches of the passengers as well, because of what I just had found out for myself doing that challenge. So, you know, you don't have to wait for it to come back around. Just give yourself that challenge anyway, and you'll start figuring some stuff out for yourself, and it will just click a bit more, you know. So it was raining, unfortunately, in the afternoon for the sketch walk. So I had sat down in the basement for Rob Sketcherman. He's actually there, by the way. That's Rob Sketcherman, for his workshop. And just the architecture and design inside the the Auckland University of Technology building is just beautiful. There's all these curves and stuff. I was like, I really want to draw it. So I was pretty happy with that sketch. And then the following day was Eleanor Doughty, who you all know I'm a huge fan of. Did her Domestica course a little while ago. So if you haven't checked that out, then do go and check it out. Her workshop was about sketching with calligraphy pens, specifically a Pilot parallel pen. And she showed this awesome scene, this red building, laying down a bit of red and then sketching on top with calligraphy pen. So I really, really enjoyed her workshop. I learned so much. I learned so much from all of them. Like I was so happy to meet Rob Sketcherman. I've just been such a fan of his for so long, but also, and Eleanor and Virginia. So yeah, I was a little starstruck. So that was that sketch. And then it was the sketch call later on. And unfortunately, again, I'm so messy, guys. It's so difficult to keep these pages clean. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I thought I'd just try and carry on with the same sort of thing. So I did like a bit of a swooshy watercolor base. And then once dry, I just sketched on top with a parallel pen. So this was Auckland Town Hall on the final sketch walk. And it was the final page of this sketchbook. So yeah, I was really happy that everything perfectly fit on. I did make a bit of a mistake. I got my own stamp, and look, I just made a complete and utter horror show of that. I pressed on it too hard, I think. Takes a bit of practice, perhaps. But anyway, yeah, that is the sketchbook. And I think this was, I still had time at the sketch call, so I was like, I just want to be crazy. So I just tried to do a bit of a bigger town hall sketch where nothing quite like the proportion. I wasn't worried about the perspective or anything. I was just being crazy. I think after so much sketching, I just wanted to let loose and just be crazy on the page. So I quite enjoyed that. So that was my sketchbook tour from New Zealand, my 3.5 or 3 weeks, I think, in New Zealand, including ending at the symposium. I am going to do a separate video on the symposium, my thoughts, the costs or anything. So if you have any questions for me, leave a comment quite swiftly below because I will be making that video very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. I had an absolutely amazing time visiting New Zealand, and ending on the symposium was just such a high. I got to meet a bunch of you guys as well. Big, big, big shout out to 2 people specifically. One is Lauren from Australia and from Newcastle, Australia. I think we are definitely going to be lifelong friends. We just got on so well, and it was just an absolute joy to meet you. And the other person is Jodie as well from USK Perth. Okay, so you're both from Australia. And Jodie was just so much energy, so much vibrancy, so much life, and just an absolute pleasure to meet. And thank you for inviting me for dinner with you guys. And yeah, I think also lifelong friends. So but yeah, I met so many people at the symposium, and it was just wonderful. And I can't wait to keep in touch and hopefully see you guys at the next symposium in Buenos Aires.